Hare Krishna. So we all are seeing the universal form which Arjuna is seeing. And Arjuna is showing us specific things in the universal form. He showed us how this universal form has got many, many faces. And in those innumerable faces, there are innumerable mouths, and these mouths are open. And in each of these mouths, there are terrible teeth which are there. And what is happening in these terrible teeth? What is happening in his mouth? All the great warriors, not just on the side of Duryodhana, even on the side of Arjuna, all of them are gushing in the mouth of this universal form, having terrible teeth, and the heads of many are smashed between the teeth, and their heads are stuck between the teeth. Now, to make us understand what is exactly happening, how are these people entering into the mouth of the universal form, Arjuna is giving us the analogy. Not one, two analogies he is giving now in Shloka number 28 and 29, so that we clearly understand what is happening on the battlefield of Kurukshetra in front of Arjuna. So let's see this, Shloka number 28 and 29. Yathā nadīnāṁ bahavo mbu-vegāḥ samudram evābhimukhā dravanti tathā tavāmī nara-loka-vīrā viśanti vaktrāṇy abhivijvalanti yathā pradīptaṁ jvalanaṁ pataṅgā viśanti nāśāya samṛddha-vegāḥ tathaiva nāśāya viśanti lokās tavāpi vaktrāṇi samṛddha-vegāḥ. So here Arjuna is giving the analogies. Let's try to understand these analogies. And after that, we'll try to understand that why two analogies? What is the significance of the two analogies? What are they actually indicating to all of us? And also, how can we translate the same to our own lives? So let's see the first one. So here, Arjuna is saying yathā, as nadīnāṁ bahavo, as many waves, mbu-vegāḥ, many waves of the river flow into what? Samudram evābhimukhā dravanti. So many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean. Like many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean. Similarly, tathā, tavāmī nara-loka-vīrā viśanti vaktrāṇi abhivijvalanti. He's saying similarly, all these great warriors who are there, all these great warriors, nara-loka-vīrā. So nara-loka is all the human beings, but he's talking about Veera, he's talking about the great personalities, the great kings. All of them, they're actually entering your mouth, entering your blazing mouth, or they're blazing into your mouth. So basically the essence is, like the rivers are flowing into the ocean, similarly all these great personalities are entering your mouth and getting destroyed. So this is the first analogy. Second one, here it says yathā, as pradīptaṁ jvalanaṁ pataṅgā viśanti nāśāya samṛddha-vegāḥ. So he's saying yathā, as pradīptaṁ, as pataṅgā, as the moths, the flies which are there, they enter what? Pradīptaṁ jvalanaṁ. They enter the blazing fire, and what happens? And how are they entering? Samṛddha-vegāḥ. They are just dashing into it. They are just going with a lot of force. And what is happening to them? But because they are entering viśanti in the fire, what is happening? Nāśāya. They are getting destroyed. So like the flies, the moths which are entering the fire with lots of force, they are dashing into the fire and getting destroyed. Similarly, tathā eva nāśāya viśanti lokās tavāpi vaktrāṇi samṛddha-vegāḥ. Similarly, O Krishna, similarly all these great warriors are entering your mouth with great force, with great speed. For what? For nāśāya, for getting destroyed. So now if we see in both the shlokas, it's same only. So in the first shloka he says, as the rivers enter into the ocean. Similarly, these personalities are entering your mouth and they're getting burnt, they're getting destroyed. The second analogy is saying that like the flies, they enter the fire and get destroyed. Similarly, all these great warriors are entering your mouth and are getting destroyed. So what is the difference between the two analogies? Let's try to understand this. So now in the first analogy, Arjuna is telling that like the rivers unintentionally, naturally flow into the ocean, there are some warriors here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra who are unintentionally getting destroyed by entering your mouth. So now there were different categories of warriors on the battlefield. So there were some people who had just come because they wanted to support Duryodhana, that's it. They didn't have any enmity towards Krishna or Arjuna or the Pandavas. So this analogy is talking about those people who had no intention of or enmity towards the Pandavas. So here Arjuna is saying all of them who didn't have any intention, all of them, they're just entering your mouth like the rivers enter the ocean. But here what is happening? They are getting destroyed. They're getting destroyed, O Krishna. And then in the next analogy, he's saying, like the flies or the moths, they intentionally enter with great force into the fire. Similarly, there are demoniac natured warriors here having lot of enmity towards us. They are entering into your mouth with lot of force and they're getting destroyed. So here we see that on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, there were people who had some enmity with Pandavas and they wanted to kill Pandavas. This was their goal. Obviously, this Kurukshetra battle that was there, it was just a medium for them to express their enmity. And all these warriors who had enmity towards the Pandavas, they took the side of Duryodhana and they wanted to prove themselves by killing the Pandavas. So basically here Arjuna is saying, all those people who intentionally wanted or intentionally came onto this battlefield of Kurukshetra to kill us, I can see that all of them, they're entering your mouth with great force, because with great force they came to kill, right? With great force they are entering the mouth and they're getting destroyed. So the first analogy talks about people who didn't have any intention. So unintentionally, naturally they're getting destroyed. And the second analogy is talking about those people who are demoniac in nature and they're intentionally entering into the mouth of this universal form, like the flies entering the fire and getting completely destroyed. So when I was just reading the Shloka, one very nice thing I was just contemplating, that in our day-to-day life also, there are some things which happen intentionally, some things which happen unintentionally, and some things which we do intentionally. Now see, when we have come to spiritual life, when we are practicing devotional service, we have to be very, very careful. Very nicely it is said, sadhu saudhan. So we all are trying to be sadhus, we are all trying to be devotees. So when we are practicing devotees, when we are practicing devotional service to become devotees, we have to take care that intentionally we don't go and commit some sinful activities just for sense gratification. Because every single sense gratification activity will actually pull us down in our consciousness, will take us away from Krishna. See, every single day what are we doing? Every single day, with intention of attaining Krishna this very lifetime, we are chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we all are endeavoring. Every single day we all are endeavoring to get closer to Krishna. But what will happen is, whatever sins we have done in the past, all those sins which are there, obviously, for that karmic reaction is going to come. We have to suffer for those sins. But those sins have also taken some place in our heart, in our mind, in the form of impressions, in the form of samskara. And these samskaras will actually pull us to do some sinful activity. So there we can say that we are forced to do sinful activities. But still, since we are practicing devotees, we know what is right and what is wrong. And when we know what is right and what is wrong, and still when we go and do some sinful activity, then this is what is happening to us. Intentionally, we are entering into destruction, like the flies enter the fire. So So this is a very, very important point to note, that all of us as devotees have to always focus on one thing, that am I living my life in accordance to Shastra or not? Because now there is no question of committing any sin. There is no question of committing any offense. The only thing that we are supposed to do is keep marching closer to Krishna. That's it. This life, now after coming to Krishna consciousness, we are now at the 11th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, and just 7 more are there now to complete the entire Bhagavad-gita. So we have crossed half of the Bhagavad-gita. So what does it mean? We have crossed many instructions that Krishna has given. We have understood many things that Krishna is speaking. It goes on to say we have understood what Krishna wants. It also goes on to say that we have understood that how to attain Krishna this very lifetime. Now after understanding so many things, if we again go back and commit sins, commit offenses, then we are gone. Again back to square one. So it's a very important thing. Always we have to self-introspect and see in my day-to-day life, what are the intentional activities that I am doing? And if those intentional activities are sinful, we have to curb those sinful activities immediately, or else what will happen is we will not be able to progress on the path of bhakti. So we always give this analogy that everyday sadhana is like lighting fire onto the wood. So we have a wood and we are trying to lit fire onto it. We want to ablaze the wood. But now what is happening? We are practicing devotional service, we are practicing sadhana, we are trying to set fire on the wood. But along with that, when we commit sin, it is like putting water on it. So in the morning, we are trying to do some sadhana to lit the fire, and in the evening time, we are putting water on it by committing sin. So in this way, if we keep lighting fire and water, never ever the wood will actually catch fire. So this is an important point for all the sadhakas like us. We have the tendency to sin. There is no doubt about that. But then with the practice of devotional service, we will get strength, we will get determination that no more committing of sin. This determination will come. So for this, we have to practice devotional service very intensely. We have to chant the Maha Mantra every single day without missing even one day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And along with that, along with chanting, we have to hear, we have to read the instructions given by Krishna. We have to understand that what are we supposed to do and what not. So when we understand this, our intelligence will become sharpened and we'll be able to differentiate between the two and then make a proper decision, controlling the mind very effectively. So in this way, we understand that we shouldn't act like the flies entering the fire. This is what is the understanding that we need to have. Now Arjuna has given the two analogies very nicely. Now he goes on to describe more and more about this universal form. Now mouth he has described, now he's going to describe the entire form of this wonderful universal form. So let's see that in the future videos. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna